Welcome to the Real Credit Talk Show, audio edition. I'm your host, Tiana Mayers, also known as Lady T. Founder of Beyond Credit Limits Corporation. And this is where we break down how credit actually works. Not from opinion, not from guesswork, but from how the system is designed to read you. This is a Beyond Credit Limits production. If you want to understand how your situation connects to what we talk about here, you can visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com. And if you've been tapped into the brand, you already know what it is at thatmerchmood.com. This is a space where we stop repeating credit myths, stop chasing surface level advice, and start breaking down how the system actually works. Not the watered down version, not the social media version, not the version people throw around without context. The real version, the structured version, the version that helps you understand what is actually happening when your name, your information, your accounts, your behavior, and your decisions all come together inside a credit profile. So wherever you're listening from, I want you to settle in, because this conversation is not just about credit. It's about how your profile is being read before you ever get an answer. Now let's go. Tonight is not about your credit. Let me say that again. Tonight is not about your credit. Tonight is about the number you have been watching, the one on the app, the one you check after every payment, the one you celebrate when it climbs and feel it in your chest when it drops. That number. I need you to understand something about it. It is real, but it is one number, one version, from one model at one point in time. And at this exact moment, you have more than 20 credit scores, different numbers, different models, different versions, all calculated from the same file, all producing different results. And the score a lender pulls when you apply is almost never the one you have been watching. Tonight, we close that gap. Not to confuse you, to finally give you the explanation nobody gave you before tonight. Let's go. Welcome to episode 7 of the Real Credit Talk Show. I'm Tiana Mayers, Lady T. Something has happened to almost everyone who has ever applied for credit. You checked your score before the application. It looked good. You felt confident. You submitted. And then the number a lender came back with was completely different from what you saw. Or the outcome did not match what you thought your number should produce. And that left you wondering, what score were they actually looking at? Today, we answer that question completely. We are going inside the world of credit scoring models, what they are, why there are so many of them, how they differ from each other, which one govern specific types of credit decisions, and why the number on your monitoring app is almost never the number that matters most at the moment of a real credit decision. This is one of the most important things anyone managing their credit needs to understand. And almost nobody has explained it clearly until tonight. We'll be right back.
Most people think credit is just a score. Well, it's not. Your credit can affect where you live, what you drive, your interest rates, approvals, deposits, business funding, and even the opportunities available to you. At Beyond Credit Limits, we help customers understand how the system actually works. This isn't about any gimmicks. This is about structure, strategy, education, and financial positioning. Whether you're trying to rebuild, organize your financial profile, understand collections, prepare for home ownership, or create a stronger financial foundation, Beyond Credit Limits will build to help you move with intention. The consultation is where everything starts. We review your situation, identify what's happening inside your credit profile, and map out the next step based on your goals. So stop guessing, stop moving blind, and stop letting misinformation cost you financially. Visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com and fill out your consultation today. Again, that's www.beyondcreditlimits.com. Beyond Credit Limits, because financial freedom starts with understanding the system.
And we're back. Let's get into it. Most people believe they have one credit score. They do not. At this exact moment, you have dozens of credit scores. How is that possible? You're probably wondering. Because a credit score is not a fixed number attached to your name. A credit score is the output of a mathematical model applied to the data in your credit profile at a specific moment in time. Change the model, you get a different number. Change the bureau supplying the data, you get a different number. Change the moment, you get a different number. There are two major scoring companies most people have never heard of, or most people have heard of. FICO, Fair Isaac Corporation, the dominant scoring model in consumer lending, and VantageScore, a separate company created jointly by the three major credit bureaus. Each company has produced multiple versions of their model over time. FICO alone has released dozens: FICO 8, FICO 9, FICO 10, FICO 10T, plus industry-specific versions for mortgage, auto, and credit cards. VantageScore has its own version history: VantageScore 3.0, VantageScore 4.0, and beyond. Each version calculates scores differently. Each one weighs a certain factor more or less than another. Each one can produce a meaningfully different number from the exact same credit profile. Multiple models, multiple versions, 3 credit bureaus. That is where the dozens of scores come from. And that is why the number you are watching is only one of many. FICO and VantageScore are not the same company. They are not the same product. And they do not calculate scores the same way. FICO has been the dominant scoring model in consumer lending for decades. The majority of mortgage lenders, auto lenders, and credit card issuers use a version of FICO when making real credit decisions. VantageScore was created in 2026 by Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion together. It is widely used in credit monitoring tools, consumer-facing apps, and pre-qualification experiences. Here is a distinction most people have never heard of. The score most monitoring apps show you is almost always a VantageScore. The score most lenders pull when you actually apply is almost always a FICO score. These two scores can differ significantly, sometimes 20 points, sometimes 30, sometimes 50 points or more from the exact same credit file on the exact same day. So when someone says, my score is 720, the first question that matters is, which score, which model, from which bureau? Because 720 on one model does not guarantee 720 on the model the lender is about to pull. Credit monitoring apps have done something genuinely useful. They have made credit awareness accessible to millions of people who otherwise never would have checked. That matters. But here is what the app is not. It is not the score a mortgage lender pulls. It is not the score an auto lender pulls. It is not the score a credit card issuer is looking at when they make the decision. The score on the app is a VantageScore, typically VantageScore 3.0 or 4.0, calculated from one bureau's data and updated regularly to reflect movement. It's a tracking tool, directionally useful. When it rises, things are generally improving. When it drops, something changed. But the specific number it shows is not the number that shows up when a lender runs credit for a real decision. People have walked into mortgage applications showing 720 on their monitoring app and found the lender's FICO score was a 678. People have prepared around the number they see daily and been caught completely off guard by a different number at the moment that mattered most. The app is worth using, but understanding what it is showing and what it is not showing is essential for anyone working toward a specific credit outcome. Here is something most people have never been told. FICO does not produce just one general score. It produces industry-specific versions designed for specific types of credit decisions. There is a FICO score specifically calibrated for mortgage lending. There is a FICO score specifically calibrated for auto lending. There is a FICO score specifically calibrated for credit card decisions. Each one weighs the same credit data differently. The mortgage score places extra weight on mortgage payment history. If you have ever had a mortgage, how you manage the specific obligation carries more influence in the mortgage score than it does in any general score. The auto score places extra weight on auto payment history. How you have handled vehicle financing in the past speaks louder in the auto scoring model than it does anywhere else. The bank card score places extra weight on revolving credit behavior. How you managed or how you have managed credit cards over time carries more influence in that model than in a general score. What this means is that the same credit file can produce different scores depending entirely on what type of credit is being applied for. With someone having a strong history of on-time auto payments may score higher on the auto-specific model than their general score would have ever suggested. Someone with a gap in revolving credit management may find the bank card score tells a different story than what the app displays. The score is being pulled at any given application and is calibrated for the type of credit being sought. And knowing that changes everything about which parts of the profile matter most for which goal. FICO has released many versions of its model over the years. FICO 8 is currently the most widely used general version. FICO 9 introduced changes to how medical collections are treated. FICO 10 and FICO 10T brought additional refinements. And yet many lenders, particularly mortgage lenders, are still pulling versions that are older. Why? Because updating the scoring model used in underwriting is not as simple as a switch. It requires regulatory approval. It requires lenders to recalibrate their entire risk framework. It requires testing and validation across the full loan portfolio. That process takes time, sometimes years. For conventional mortgage lending, older FICO models have been the long-standing standard. The mortgage industry has been in the process of transitioning to more current models, but the timeline varies by loan type and investor. What this means for you is significant. The score you have been building toward on a consumer app may be optimized for FICO 8 or VantageScore. But the score that determines whether you get the mortgage may be calculated by a model that weighs differently. An item that barely registers in FICO 8 may carry more weight in an older mortgage model. A factor that improves the newer version may not exist in the version being pulled. Most people are never told this. They prepare for the wrong score because nobody showed them the full landscape. Let me make this real with one example. One person, one credit file, one day. On the same day, that person could have a VantageScore 3.0 of 720 from Experian, a FICO score 8 of 694 from TransUnion, a FICO score 8 of 701 from Equifax, a FICO auto score of 680 from Experian, a FICO mortgage score of 671 from Equifax, a FICO bank card score of 729 from TransUnion. That was 6 numbers. One person, one day, ranging from 671 to 729. A 58-point spread from the same file, depending on which model and which bureau is used. Now imagine that person has been watching their app showing 720. They feel prepared. They apply for a mortgage. The lender pulls the mortgage specific FICO from all 3 bureaus, and the middle score is 671, not 720. 671. That difference can mean a different interest rate, a different program qualification, a completely different outcome. And that person prepared for the wrong number because the right one was never shown to them. Every scoring model weighs credit factors differently. Understanding those differences is what separates someone who reacts to a number from someone who builds towards an outcome. FICO 8, the most widely used general model, weighs factors roughly like this. Payment history carries the most weight, approximately 35%. Whether obligations have been paid on time is the single most influential factor in this model. Amounts owed, which includes utilization, carries approximately 30%. How much of available revolving credit is currently in use is the second most influential factor. Length of credit history carries approximately 15%. How long accounts have been open, the age of the oldest account, and the average age across all accounts. Credit mix carries approximately 10%, the variety of account types across the file. New credit carries approximately 10%, recent applications and newly opened accounts. VantageScore weighs these factors differently. It places more emphasis on total credit usage and balances. It can score people with shorter credit histories where FICO might not generate a score at all. The older FICO mortgage models weigh public records and certain collection accounts differently than FICO 8 or FICO 9. A collection that carries less weight in FICO 9 may still be significant in an older mortgage model. Knowing which model governs the goal you are working toward is part of any serious credit strategy. You cannot optimize for every model at once, but you can understand which model governs the decision and position accordingly. Most people manage their credit by watching a number and trying to make it go up. That is called score chasing, and it is the wrong strategy. Not because the number does not matter, because it does, but because when you chase a number without knowing which number matters for your specific goal, which model is being used to calculate it, and which bureau a specific type of lender is most likely to pull, you may be building toward the wrong target entirely. Someone preparing for a mortgage needs to understand what their profile looks like under the mortgage-specific scoring models, not what the VantageScore on the app says. Someone preparing for an auto purchase needs to understand that the auto-specific FICO weighs most heavily, not the general score the monitoring tool displays. Someone with a thin file who has a VantageScore but not yet enough history to generate a FICO score needs to understand that distinction before pursuing credit that requires a FICO. The right strategy is not to chase the number. The right strategy is to understand the full scoring landscape, identifying which model governs the goal, and build the profile in a way that positions correctly for that specific calculation. That is the difference between reacting to a score and building toward an outcome. Let me make this practical by walking through the most common credit goals and the scoring landscape that governs each one. Homeownership. Conventional mortgage lending has historically used older FICO versions from each bureau, with the middle score used for the decision. The industry has been transitioning toward newer models, but the timeline varies by loan type. Anyone preparing for a mortgage needs to understand how their profile reads under those specific versions, not under FICO 8 or the app score. Auto financing. Auto lenders frequently use FICO auto scores. These are industry-specific versions that weigh auto payment history more heavily than a general score. A strong history of on-time auto payments may produce a higher auto score than the general score suggests. A past auto delinquency may carry more weight in this model than expected. Credit cards. Credit card issuers commonly use FICO bank card scores, which weigh revolving credit behavior more heavily. How credit cards have been managed over time, the utilization pattern, the payment consistency speaks louder in this model than a general score. Personal loans and other installment credit. These vary significantly by lender. Some use FICO 8, some use VantageScore, some use proprietary internal models not publicly disclosed. The model that matters is determined by the goal and the institution. Knowing which score governs which decision is part of building any serious credit strategy. Before we get into the questions, if you have any question you want answered on this show, submit it to the Real Credit Talk Show at beyondcreditlimits.com. Tell us your first name and the state you are from, or submit anonymously. Your choice. I read everyone, and your question could be featured right here. Now let's get into Darius from Georgia. My Credit Karma app shows 714, but when I applied for a car, the dealer said my score was 681. Why are they so different? Darius, this is one of the most common surprises in the credit conversation. The score on your app is almost certainly a VantageScore, a consumer-facing model used by most monitoring tools. The score the dealership pulled is almost certainly a FICO auto score, an industry-specific model that weighs your auto loan payment history more heavily than any general consumer score does. Two different models, same credit profile, same day, different numbers. The gap you experience is not unusual. It happens because the model used for the auto lending is calibrated specifically for the type of decision. It reads the file through a completely different lens than the one your monitoring app uses. Stephanie from Texas. Is there a way to know what score a lender will pull before I apply? Stephanie, this is exactly the right question, and asking it before the application is exactly the right instinct. For mortgage lending, the loan type largely determines the model. For auto lending, most use FICO auto scores. For credit cards, most major issuers use FICO bank card scores or FICO 8. Some lenders will tell you which bureau they pull from and which model they use if asked directly. Not all will. But knowing the type of credit being pursued gives you a strong indication of the scoring landscape governing that decision. This is the kind of, strategic conversation that deserves real attention. Knowing which model matters for your specific goal before the application goes in. That was a really good one though, Stephanie. Anonymous from Florida. My score went up on the app, but I still got denied. How does that happen? Well, Anonymous, because the score that went up on the app is not the same score the lender pulled. The app tracks a VantageScore. The lender pulled a FICO version, likely industry specific for whatever type of credit you applied for. Those two scores can move in different directions at the same time. Something that improved your VantageScore may have had little effect on the FICO version the lender used, or the FICO was pulled from a different bureau whose data told a slightly different story. This is exactly why understanding the full scoring landscape matters before you apply, not just tracking the number the app shows you. Keandra from Illinois. I have heard of FICO 8 and FICO 9. Which one should I focus on? Keandra, the answer honestly depends entirely on what you are building toward. FICO 8 is the most widely used general model across most types of lending outside of mortgage. If you're working toward credit cards or general credit access, FICO 8 is the most relevant general benchmark. FICO 9 treats medical collections differently. Paid medical collections carry no negative weight in FICO 9. If medical collections are part of your credit picture, how you perform under FICO 9 may differ from FICO 8 meaningfully. If home ownership is the goal, the conversation shifts to the mortgage-specific models, which are different from both. Those and this kind of question that is deserved a specific answer based on your specific situation and your specific goals. You can submit your questions to the Real Credit Talk Show at beyondcreditlimits.com. Your name and your state or being anonymous is your choice. Your questions matter here. We started this episode by talking about a number, the one on the app, the one most people have built their entire credit awareness around. By now, that number looks different, very different. Not smaller, not less important, more specific. It is one score from one model, pulled from one bureau at one point in time. And it lives inside a landscape of dozens of scores that all tell a different version of the same story, but not always the same version. Your lender pulling your credit for a mortgage is reading a version that the app does not show you. The auto lender is reading a different one. The credit card issuer, yet another. Understanding which version matters for which goal is what separates someone who chases a number from someone who builds a position. And building a position is the only strategy that produces real results at the moment that actually matters. If there is one thing I want you to take from episode 7, yes, 7, it is this. Stop managing the number you can see. Start understanding the numbers that matter. The one on the app gives you direction. It shows you movement. It gives you awareness. But it is not the score that determines the mortgage. It is not the score behind the auto rate. It is not the number the credit card issuers evaluate when they make their decision. The credit scoring landscape is larger, more nuisance, more model specific than most people have ever been shown. And now you have been shown, which means the next time you work towards something important, you know exactly what questions and right questions to ask. Not just, what is my score? Which score, which model, which bureau? That question changes everything. Before I close, I want to leave you with this. No question is insignificant. Your questions matter because you matter. Again, I'm going to say this again because I feel like a lot of people, and this is just in human nature, are scared to ask questions because they feel maybe they might get embarrassed or feel embarrassed or it might be stupid, but it's not. No question is insignificant. Your questions matter because you matter. And for everyone who has been watching a number and wondering why it does not match what a lender sees, tonight that gap finally has an explanation. You were not wrong about your score. You were watching one score in a room full of them. Now you know the room. Now you know the models. Now you know which questions to ask before the next application goes in. Submit your questions to the Real Credit Talk Show at beyondcreditlimits.com. your first name and state or anonymous is read. I read everyone. And your question may be answered right here. Ask the question. Respect the process. Know your numbers. And move with the kind of intention that only comes from understanding exactly which score stands between you and the outcome you are working toward. This has been the Real Credit Talk Show, hosted by me, Tiana Mayers, Lady T, founder of Beyond Credit Limits Corporation. Visit us at www.beyondcreditlimits.com. And if you know the brand, you already know www.thatmerchmood.com. Until next time, keep learning, keep positioning, and keep moving with intention. Have a good night.